Yes, you shall, YouTube. Welcome back with more Gran Turismo 7. Now guys, this is part 4 of my tuning guide on how to tune cars in Gran Turismo 7. Now guys, we're focused on gear ratio tuning today, so make sure you've got a fully customizable racing transmission. I thought I'd use the Supra with an amazing 2JZ, as I know some people do have difficulty tuning the really high powered rear wheel drive cars. Now this method probably is the easiest method to show you. If you've got anti-lag, make sure it's on the car and it's actually switched on before you start tuning. If you switch it on after you've tuned, you're going to have to retune your car again. I'm running stock weight on this build, but weight of the car shouldn't really matter. Thank you to all the subscribers who've subscribed over the last few weeks. Your support is appreciated so much, so a big thank you and shout out to all you guys. Now make sure you've got a fully customizable racing transmission, a sequential gearbox, so it's going to be a lot quicker shifting up through the actual gears to its top speed. And we're going to focus on first gear, guys, so make sure you adjust the automatic adjustment setting first, then go into manual settings, and you don't really have to worry about 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd or 2nd. Them gears you'll be able to edit to your preference. We're mainly focusing on first gear and getting the car to hook. I drive with just ABS, we don't use any traction control, and we don't use any assists. So the main objective when tuning gear ratios, focus on first gear, then basically we're trying to get as much power down in first gear as possible with minimal loss of traction from the wheels. It is in kilometers, so if you need a little bit easier for yourselves, just put the kilometers into Google and change them to miles per hour. That's what I've done. So if you see first gear is at 2.510, we're putting 177 kilometers through first gear. Now basically we're going to try and get the car to hook in first gear with no wheel spin, nice smooth power delivery and a nice smooth pull all the way up till the point where you're shifting into second. Now when you're tuning first gear, you are going to have to stretch that gear out quite long, so if it does look quite long in the graph, don't worry about it, because as you see from the demonstration I'm going to show you now, we're going to tune the car so it hooks in first gear with no traction control. I'll just change that now so you can see the settings. And if you see the little turbo gauge in your little boost bar, the longer you sit and rev up for, make sure you've got maximum boost. And this is how you tune drag cars, and it's quite a good way to tune race cars as well for a starting grids. So when we launch, we're going to be at full boost, starting full revs, no traction control, and for me guys that's the perfect launch. So basically you want to extend first gear until you get the car to hook. If it bogs and you don't hear that little screech in the tyres, shorten the gear ratio first gear, just shorten it slightly, and when you've got the perfect gear ratio tuning for first gear, that is how the car will launch. You'll hear the little braking traction from the tyres, and then they'll grip and all the way through until you're shifting up in second. So I'll give you another demonstration here, guys. When you're tuning as well, if you want to know like an easy way to tell like your RPMs and what you're sat at, as that gauge is poor, the viewing that is poor, use this one when tuning. You get a bigger turbo gauge, you get a full tachometer and a full speedometer, and then you'll be able to judge a little bit better just where your actual red line bar at the top actually is sitting in your tune. And again guys, sit there for a few seconds, make sure it's set at maximum boost, and then just let go of your brake. You'll get a little braking traction from the rear tyres, a little squeal, and it'll just grip and it'll just take you all the way through. And that is the easiest way to tune gear ratios in Gran Turismo 7. It is part 4 of the tuning guide for Gran Turismo 7. So big shout out to all the subscribers. Please leave a like if you've liked the video. If you've got any comments, feel free to drop them in the comment section down below. I do read all them and try to get back to them as soon as possible. Stay tuned for more Gran Turismo 7 content coming straight after this one. And pretty much, guys, that's about it for part 4. That's probably the quickest way to do it. If you're putting anti-lag on, make sure it's on before you start tuning. Make sure it's switched on, because it doesn't switch on automatically. Try and put as much power, or should I say as much speed, through first gear as possible, to the point where it's launching on a nice hook like we are, but not bogging. If you're getting no braking traction on the launch, then the gear ratio is just that slight bit too long for first gear, and you just have to shorten it slightly. It's not much editing, it doesn't take that long to find the actual sweet spot for first gear. This method works on front wheel drive cars, rear wheel drive cars and all wheel drive cars. It is pretty much as simple as I've showed you, guys, and it's just really down to you then how you want to tune your car for second, third, fourth, fifth. When it comes to tuning, if you're doing something like the Special Stage X or something like that, make sure that the final gear, so your 6th gear, if you're running a 6-speed box, is at the end of the graph, to make sure you get as much top speed out of the build as possible. If the car is bogging in first gear, like I said, and you're not getting no braking traction, just shorten that first gear slightly until you get that small braking traction when you launch, and then it grips, and it's just a smooth power delivery then all the way up to your shift point in second. Guides to Gran Turismo 7, we've got the in-depth LSD customization tuning guide, just to help you guys out with the LSD tuning a little bit. And again, any comments or questions regarding my method on how to tune gear ratios in Gran Turismo 7, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below, and I'll reply back to you as soon as possible. Until the next video, guys, stay safe, happy racing, peace.
Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face, tell me that you love me, even if it's